All right, welcome back to the show. On today's episode, we have a very special guest that I'm excited to have. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lukas, and I am a professional stunt performer and actor.
How's the day treated you? I know you've been busy.
Yeah, it's been a busy one. We finished the production last night, wrapped on something, and took the flight from Oakland to Burbank at I think 10 a.m. this morning, or not 9:30 or something like that. Then I had an interview. I had a fitting. It's just been one thing after the other, but I'm very excited to be here, and I'm happy to be busy. So,
thank you for taking the time out. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you became a professional stuntman actor?
Of course, yeah. Well, I story a couple of times, and it always starts with 2006. In 2006, I watched Jackie Chan in Rush Hour, and I fell in love with stunts immediately. I was 6 years old. I watched him jumping from building to building, fighting, doing all these cool things, and I was like, that's what I need to do right there. So I started doing Taekwondo the year after, and that's my base. So I'm a 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo. I've been training since I started. I haven't stopped. But in addition to that, I am, aside from Taekwondo and flexibility and all that, I'm fully self-taught off of YouTube. So everything that I know, I looked up on YouTube, and lots of trial and error. A lot of error. But I can tell you what to do because I've gone through it all. But yeah, anything that I was curious to learn or I saw somebody doing, I just looked it up. And if I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for, I'd look up the next closest thing and kind of just piece it together myself. But that's more or less how I started, and still going strong. Yeah.
So, as far as jumping into acting and becoming a stuntman, what was that like? Because I know we kind of talked about it a little bit the other day, and like most things, you got to start somewhere. But I would imagine being in that type of entertainment industry would be kind of hard at first, at least.
It definitely is, and I maintain that the hardest aspect is by far starting, as it is with most things. Because you're not only, you have to have the drive, you have to have you need to tell yourself to do it. You got to motivate yourself and all of that, and everyone does that. But on top of that, it's such a close-knit community. It's a pretty small community. I mean, the acting world, the pool of actors that you have in LA, Chicago, New York, there's a shitload of people. So the competition is pretty stiff. But with the stunt community, it's much, much smaller. So you get essentially all of your work more or less from connections and knowing a coordinator and being a helping hand on set, being very good at what you do, and then not saying oh, that's not my job, I don't have to do that. If they ask you to move something, say yeah, I'll do it. And if you build that rapport with coordinators and with other stunt people, and you build that reputation for yourself, you are sure to, the people are going to talk about you in a good way. They're going to recommend you, and that's how I get all my work now. So, I mean, I only get phone calls from stunt coordinators asking, are you available this day and this day? And I say yes or no, and that's that. So,
and we were talking about the fact that you touched on it, starting and being consistent is a key. And of course, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, it's starting and then keeping with it. So a great example of this, I graduated high school in 2018. And right after I graduated, I moved out here to LA, and I first moved to Inglewood, which was, in hindsight, a mistake. But eventually I found where I am now in Van Nuys. And that was, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. My apologies.
You're fine.
My goodness, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Can you ask the question again? Jog my memory. Sorry.
So as far as being able to be consistent, what was that like? Because you touched on it where you have to start somewhere, but the biggest key is being able to stick with it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for reminding me. Now I got it. Yes. So I started in 2018, and from 2018 to 2020, those 2 years, was all groundwork. It was all meeting coordinators in any way that I could, on set, for dinner, wherever they were, in a respectful way. You don't want to be pushing, be like, hey, listen to me, You want to do it in a respectful way because you always want to be the solution, not the problem. If you come to set and you're looking for the coordinator and you make a big deal of it, like, hey, I'm looking for the coordinator, you are now a problem because you are something that they have to deal with. So you always want to be the solution. If you are meeting a coordinator on a set that you're not a part of, stay quiet, wait until they're done with everything, talk to them, and get their information, let them know who you are, what you do, what you're capable of doing, have your reel, show it to them. And from there, they'll either say, thank you for coming to talk to me, or get the hell off my set. Why are you here? And, it's one or the other. It's a risk you got to take, but it's literally all connections. I can't think of, there's a handful, maybe 5 jobs that I have auditioned for, stunt-wise. Acting is a separate story. But stunt-wise, there's been a handful of jobs that I've auditioned for, and everything else is just, oh, yeah, I trust Lukas from other coordinators and referrals and whatnot. So it's true what they say. Connections is everything.
Yes, yeah, and if it were, and I think we touched on this already, but if it were easy, it would be something that just about everybody would want to do. And I think that for a lot of people that jump into that world or do something similar to where you have to fight for everything that you get, so to speak, you gotta like the challenge. You just, you gotta have the drive, like you said earlier, but you gotta like the challenge of being told no 5-6 times to hear the 1 or 2 yeses.
It's you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. Know that there is a high likelihood that you will fail, but you gotta try anyway, because if you don't try, you've already failed. So yes, and it's like most people tell you. When you're younger, is the answer is always no if you don't ask. And it's true. And there's a limit. Obviously, don't go around asking. It's like, hey, do you have a job for me? Can you get me a job, please? In a respectful way. Like, hey, this is what I do. Right. Remember me for the future if you ever need something. If you're the kind of person who's going around and says, like, hey, give me a job. Nobody wants that reputation. You're not going to be working very often if that's the kind of person that you are on set. So you got to be very smart with it, respectful with it. Know what you're doing. Don't boast about it. Let your actions speak for yourself. Don't let your words speak for yourself, and really show them what you can do. And if you stay quiet and humble, but you have everything to back up your skills, that's the best boat that you can be in, because you're exactly what they're looking for. You can do the stunt. You can be you're a delight to have on set. You're easy to work with. If you tell me to do something, I understand it. I don't have to be like, wait, can you explain that a little further? So, just be ready to receive, always be ready to learn. I'm constantly learning. I was just learning some rigging yesterday from one of the riggers on this project that I was on. We were putting together truss and hanging some people from not by the neck, Superman style. They were in a harness, and we were like flying them on a green screen. And so he was setting up the truss and all of the gear that's required to pull that off. And I'll be honest, that aspect, I know how to be in the harness and be lifted around and flown around, but the actual setting up of everything I have known up until now. So I shadowed him. I just stood back, watched what he was doing, asked a question if he wasn't super busy in the moment. And I learned quite a lot in the last couple of weeks from simple knots to how to put together tech line, to the correct way to assemble truss. I mean, all these things that you don't that aren't common sense. These are things that you do have to learn if you want to be as knowledgeable as you should be. I My motto is, the more that I know, the more that I can offer. So I'm constantly trying to learn not just stunts, like different kinds of stunts, but I'm also trying to learn different departments. I'm trying to learn lighting and how different lights create different effects and bounces, and then and later on I want to focus more on camera. So like I have my focus of acting and stunts, but I'm always like got a little side thing that I'm working on. It's like lighting. Now I'm going to focus on this, and now I'm going to focus on rigging, and now I'm going to focus on VFX, and now I'm going to focus whatever it is. And I think if you, at least this is, I don't recommend this for everyone, or you can, I don't know. But for me, I want to get my foot in the door with every department just a little bit. I don't want to do everything for the rest of my life. I don't want to be a wardrobe for the rest of my life, but I want to do it once, just so when I'm a director, I can empathize with them. I know what it's like to be them. I can be I can be very deliberate and distinct with my directions. And when I ask something of them, I know it's not impossible because I can do it. If I ask somebody for something, I want to ask them and know that it's possible. I want to be like, oh yeah, make it happen. You figure it out, So that's kind of how I've been operating, and in a more specific stunt capacity, from anything from fire burns, getting lit on fire, to getting hit by a car, to falling downstairs, to hand-to-hand combat, thug street fighting, and then more stylized Taekwondo fighting, which I've done, and other, jiu-jitsu, judo, grappling. There's so many things that stunts encompasses that you can do, and you don't have to do all of it by any means. You can focus on one thing and be known as the fight guy or the fall guy or whatever. But the more you know, the more you work. So, yeah.
And that only makes sense, when it comes down to some of the stunts you do, and I've seen clips and reels that you've put on Instagram, like the one, I don't remember exactly what you jumped off of. Might have been a trampoline or something,
Yes.
but you were on fire.
Yeah, that was that's my one of my openers to my reel. So I have when making a reel, here's a little tidbit of information for anyone who's making a stunt reel right now. Grab the attention right away. Your most attention grabbing thing. It doesn't have to be fire. If it is, put that in there. But if whatever you have that's in your eyes the most impressive, put that forward, because when you're showing your reel to a coordinator, the last thing you want to do is start with something boring or something bad, and they're like, oh, so this is, because first impressions are everything. And if they see that for the first time and they're like, okay, yeah, you don't have a career here. Goodbye. Go find somebody else to bother. If they see, if it grabs your attention and they're like, oh, wow, okay, that's something that I have use for, or that's just really impressive, or I can see that you have the awareness to do this, so you can probably also do this, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, the opener to my stunt reel is, wall backflip, where I run up the wall, do a backflip, but I'm on fire. So that was the one. And then the other one that you're mentioning, trampoline, back and arms on fire, front flip into a superhero landing. Hold that for a couple of seconds, and then they extinguished me. But yes, stuff like that. Those are very technical burns because it's involving trampoline, which is one skill. It's involving flipping or tricking, which is another skill, and fire, which is another skill. So you put a bunch of stuff together, it starts to get real technical. And then and all of these were for practice with professionals who knew what they were doing, but it was not for a production. This was more or less in somebody's backyard who knew what they were doing. Disclaimer: do not light yourself on fire unless everybody involved knows exactly what they're doing and there is multiple safety and contingency plans. Just don't light yourself on fire. But Yeah, it's more or less, for lack of a better word, in somebody's backyard. And with that being said, we can create our own things. If you're on set, you're at the mercy of the director and the stunt coordinator who tell you what to do, and then you have to do it. When you're creating your own stuff, you can do whatever you want. You can set up the camera wherever you want. You can make it move however you want. You can change if you're feeling, I don't want to do that, you can just change it on the spot. You don't have to talk to 70 people to get it approved. So with all of that being said, if you're making a stunt reel right now, don't wait for footage from things that from like professional, like TV and film. Don't wait to get on and then get that footage and then make a reel. You can, and I have my first reel. You should be able to make a reel with everything that you want to put into it. With your friends in the park or in a parking lot or wherever, and it doesn't have to be super. The production value of it doesn't have to be fantastic. It's about your skill level, not what you're wearing or what the location looks like or technicalities. It's about you and your abilities. So showcase that in the safest and best manner, and you can't go wrong with that.
So I am kind of curious, and you don't have to give away a whole bunch, but what goes into, you talked about some stuff like getting hit by a car. What kind of goes into that? Because I would imagine there's no easy way to do that.
With the film industry, with movies, there's a way to cheat practically thing where on camera, for the audience, the general population that's watching it, it looks like it actually happened. But if you're on set and you're watching it from a slightly different angle, you can tell, oh, that's all fake. One of those ways, with the car hit example that you were talking about, one thing that they use quite often if they need a car hit, they will have the person who's being hit by the car, and they'll be wearing a harness, the same kind of harness that you would fly them on wires or do like the superhero, Avengers type stuff, that you know what I'm talking about. But you'd be wearing that harness, and then they put a line on you and either put that on a ratchet or a hand pull or whatever, but a way to pull you. So, and then they get the car. Now you can do this in one of two ways. You can either have a precision driver who knows when to stop exactly and stack it slightly so it looks like you're getting hit by the car. The car is never coming at you. You're here and you're here and the car is here. You're never on the same plane. So even if the car were to completely accelerate, it would never hit you. So you stack it in a way because the camera is looking this way. Pull him out of the way right as the car hits that spot, and it looks like he got wrecked by a car. Car never touched him once. That's one way to do it. Alternatively, you could just get hit by a car. And you have to know what you're doing. And it's one of those very technical things, and everybody involved needs to be very dialed in because it is a very dangerous thing. It can be, it is unpredictable, because when you get hit by the car, you can plan everything up to the moment of impact with the car. But if you're doing a high impact car hit, for example, where it drives through and it keeps going and then you go over the top and fall down, after you've made contact with the car and the windshield and probably broken the windshield, you're up in the air. The car is gone. You are now falling onto concrete, and you can be in any position. You have no idea where you are, because at that point, you're just at the mercy of gravity and whatever ended up happening, because you can only plan so much. So arguably, one of the most dangerous aspects of a car hit isn't actually the impact of the car. It's falling on the concrete after the car is cleared. Now, there's multiple different kinds of car hits. There's the one that I have been talking about, where the car continues and you go over the top of it. There's ones where you get hit, you go on the hood of it, and then they break and they spit you off. That one is used quite often because you can do it in a couple of really creative ways. You get one shot where the car is coming, you do a very low impact car hit, you're still getting hit, but you more or less just kind of lay on the hood. You can even speed up the footage, shoot that at 5 miles an hour and then speed it up. It looks like 15. You just have to know what you're doing. It gets a little bit technical there. I lost my train of thought a little bit there, but yeah, essentially that was the entire thought. There's a ton of ways to cheat that and to make it look realistic. And this is not just for car hits. For fight scenes, any fight scene that you see, they're not actually getting hit. Body hits, they will do body hits because it's easier to react to a body hit if you actually feel it. They're obviously not wailing on each other and, pounding each other in the floor, but there is light contact so that oh, I've been hit. Now I react in this way, and depending on the person and the coordinator, sometimes they will actually hit you a little bit harder, if they want that realism or if they just had a bad morning or whatever. But everything,
Right.
any stunt that you can think of, unless it's super like Tom Cruise freaking going off of a cliff with a motorcycle, obviously that you can't cheat that. You just got to do that. But the majority of stunts that you see, there is a safe way to do it, but it looks super visceral. And that's the industry we're in, being able to recreate because if you don't get it on the first take and you get super hurt, what are you going to do? First of all, you're hurt, which nobody wants. But second of all, you can't do it again. That shot's scrapped now. So you have to get somebody else or just completely scrap it. So longevity is key. All of the stunts that you do, you need to make sure that you can do them multiple times. You never want to get to the point where you're doing falls onto concrete on your back without a pad. And, you can do that a couple of times, but if they need the shot right and it's just not correct, you're going to end up doing that fall on concrete over and over and over again. This is where you need stunt pads. You put a back pad on, or they put a mat down, a couple of different ways to pad up the environment, depending on what the shot is. Whenever somebody asks how would you make a punch work? You can't answer that question unless you know where the camera is, because that dictates everything. It's all about camera angles. If the camera is looking directly at the actor, you have to go across the face or in at it. If you see any gap, it doesn't read, because it looks fake, because that's what it is. It is fake. So you need to stack everything correctly from the angle that you want, and it doesn't have to work from every angle, just from the one that matters. And sometimes, if you're doing it practically or for real, then you'll have multiple cameras going at the same time, so you can actually get multiple angles and only have to do it one time. But it's a whole different world. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's one of those things that you see it and it's so impressive. Whether it be, like you said, watching some of Jackie Chan's stuff, which is crazy. Some of the stuff that he does.
He does it himself, but also just the sheer precision of it. I mean, any Jackie Chan film you watch, if he misses the mark by an inch, that could be fatal. That could be like extreme injury. So he is hyper precise with everything, and I admire that about him so much. But and also the creativity, just the shots that he and his team come up with and then execute. Because you can come up with a really cool shot, but then you also have to make it work, like how are we going to make it work? So having a vision for it and actually doing it are two separate things. And Jackie Chan understands all of it. And that's why his films are so legendary. That's why we talk about him. Yes, because, he's the actor that does his own stunts, and there's a couple others like that, but also because he just understands so many aspects of film. If you look at his IMDb, he doesn't just have stunt credits. He has stunts, acting, writing, producing. He has a music credit. He's done he doesn't just do stunts. And that's one of the reasons why I am so eager to learn multiple different areas, because if it's working for him, it might work for me. So
that's it. And you touched on it, being able to do several things or have the knowledge to be able to do it. If called upon, you could do it.
When you're called for a job, you don't want the limiting factor to be your ability. If I get a call from a coordinator and he asks, are you available for this? Can you do this? I should be able to say, yes, I'm able to do it. With that being said, if you can't do it, you have to be upfront about it, because it gets into the realm of safety. Your and everyone else's safety is at risk if you say you can do it, but you actually can't. Because when the day comes and they say, all right, it's time to do it, and you chicken out or you do it unsafely because you don't know what you're doing, you're never going to work for that coordinator or probably the rest of them ever again. They'll blacklist you because you lied. You said you can do that when you can't. So be very, very upfront about what you can and can't do. But with that being said, work on as much as you can. Try to get as much as you can. Get your focus. So for me, my focus is Taekwondo. That's what I started with. That's what I come back to. My kicks are some of the best stunts about me. I have like the flexibility and to make that all nice and everything, but I also have other areas: falling, flipping. I do, tricking, which is, back flips, side flips, front flips, parkour, that kind of stuff. We go, to UCLA and we just jump around at the campus doing parkour. So, but like if you have that vast arsenal of things that you can do, if somebody asks for you, it comes down to your look and not your ability. If I need to double a guy, if I need to double someone, if it doesn't work out, I want it to be because I didn't look enough like him, not because I couldn't do what was asked of me. And that's the kind of mindset that I've been kind of working on. If I have everything and I don't get the job, it's solely because the look isn't right, because it can't be my ability, because the ability is there. So that's my mindset. Get your focus, really get one thing drilled in, and then expand, learn as much as you can, and you'll thank yourself for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's like with most things in life, whether you're an actor, a musician, whether you work, have your own business, whatever the case is, the more you know, the better off you are. So, with regards to some of the stuff you've done, do you have a production that you've worked on as a stuntman that you're more proud of than others? And I know that's probably kind of hard to choose because you got to be happy with everything that you've done.
They're all my babies, But no, to answer your question, yes, there are definitely some that stand out a little bit more. The most recent one that I did was actually the day before Christmas Eve last year. It was the 23rd, the 22nd, I think. Yeah, 22nd, and the gag was I get kicked in the chest, crash through handrail, like banister at the top of the stairs. That just shatters. I crash into the other wall on the other side of the staircase, fall about 6 feet, and then tumble down the stairs, all while the banister and this wood is falling all around me. So, that was a very technical one because it involved me, getting kicked in the chest for real. Like they actually did kick me. Then I had to spot and find my mark because the handrail that I was crashing through intentionally that was supposed to break, obviously was supposed to break, but all of the handrails around it were part of the house. They were vintage. I can't touch those because if I break those, they got to pay a ton of money to fix them. I have one banister to break. I can't break the one on the other side. So I have to be very specific and technical with it and hit the wall underneath the banister. There was a tiny little mark that I had to hit with my shoulder, hip, and ankle so that all that line of my body hit. I can bounce off of it and then stay stairs and then fall down the stairs. And when the movie comes out, it's Freaky Tales. I'm very excited. But Too Short is the rapper. He made a song, Freaky Tales, and now they're making a movie based off of the song. But when that comes out, I'm very excited to see how that came out because I did it one time and I sent it hard. And that brings me to a great point. One thing I heard one of the older stuntmen that I've talked to say, which really resonates with me, it's really smart. When you do a big gag like a stair fall or a car hit or a fire burn, scratch the fire burn, bad example, but a car hit or a stair fall or something that's big like that, you only want to do it once because it is dangerous and you will probably get hurt or you may get hurt. You want to minimize that, obviously. So you're trying to do that as few times as possible. And also then you get into like money because every time you do a stunt, they pay you for it. Not every time it makes it into the movie. So if I do the stunt 4 times, they pay me for it 4 times. And it's a whole separate issue. Where was I with this? Oh, goodness. Sorry, I talk a lot. No, I have a lot to get out.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm very passionate about this, but yes, thank you so much. Sorry. When you're doing those big stunts, the advice that I got, there we go. Now I'm back on track. The advice that I got from this older stuntman was to attack those stunts. When the car's coming at you, don't like half-ass and be like, oh, here's the car, oh, gotta get ready. fucking run at that thing, attack it, because if you do it correctly one time and you go all out, you have to do it one time and it looks awesome. If you kind of chicken out on a car hit and it doesn't, you'll have to do it again. And you don't want to, even if it was like not that bad, you don't want to do it more than one time. So the advice that he gave was for those bigger gags that it comes down to you just got to do it. Like everything, you have a safe way of doing it, but at a certain point, you just got to do it. Like getting kicked in the chest. I mean, there's no safe way to do that. There is, but it takes a ton of setup and money and whatnot. But an easy way is to just do it. So you just have to take it. That's the reality of it. And if you're not okay with that, then it's not the industry for you, and that's okay. But you have to be okay with that and know that it's not all, sunshine and roses there. You'll be fighting in the rain. You'll be drenched in whatever. And, I've heard the stories that I've heard. It's like some of the hardest, most difficult stunts that I've heard from other stunt performers aren't like hardest hit or most technical. The most difficult ones that I've heard of were simply like difficult on the mind, where you're in a skin tight suit in freezing cold water for 4 hours. There's a stunt. They did something. I shot with Chris Pratt. We did Terminalist a year ago or so. But for that, I was a Navy SEAL, and we were sitting in the ocean. So we were linking arms with Chris Pratt and a couple of other stunt guys, just sitting in where was it, Santa Monica? Or no, it was by LAX, the beach right by LAX. But we were just sitting in the ocean with Chris Pratt at 2 a.m, and waves are just crashing over us, and we're simulating the training that the SEALs have to go through, where the waves are crashing over them. They just have to go through it. Great example for what I'm talking about here. But that. It's not difficult. You don't have to think a lot about that. It's not like, oh, how am I going to do it? Just sit there. But it is difficult in the sense that you're freezing cold. You just got to keep going. Know that you're in it together with all the people around you. You're not special in that moment. You're all going through it. And that's where some of the best stories come from. I mean, like times on sets that have been less than optimal, let's call them, they have been great times still because of the company that I surrounded myself with and the people that were there. So if you're fortunate enough to be on a job where you know people, or you get to know people and you get a really close group, that's one of the best things that you can do. Because the stories that you get from that, the experiences, the learning is unparalleled. But, anyway.
Oh yeah, just being in cold water is such a well, not really a horrible thing, but it's more of a psyche. Like you hear cold water and you're like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Another example for like something you got to do, whether and at a certain point, if you can't do it, if you think your safety is at risk, you have to voice that concern. But if it's just uncomfortable, or if it's like a little painful, just you got to go through it. If it's dangerous, obviously speak up and say something, but it's not going to be comfortable. So on this last job that I did a couple of weeks ago, one of the gags, very simple. I run in, I get side kicked in the chest, and I go out of frame. Super easy, doesn't take any brain power. But I ran into a dude's foot over 15 times, and this dude knew what he was doing. He does Muay Thai, so his kicks are beautiful, and like he locks it out. He has the support behind each kick and everything. So every time I ran into his foot intentionally, I knew what I was doing. But I just, we're standing there waiting for the director to yell action, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm going to run into his foot again. All right, let's do it. So they yell action. I run in, get kicked. I'm like, oh my God, not again, please. But, just over and over. Nope, not again. That wasn't it. Take it again. Reset. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay. But, it's things like that aren't meant, physically, or actually, what am I saying? It doesn't take a lot of brain power. It doesn't take a lot of precision, but it's just something that you have to convince your brain to throw yourself in front of a foot, So.
Exactly. And that's what it's really about, is being able to step outside your comfort zone and kind of put yourself out there, because you never know. What you think may be super difficult, and maybe, in your head you're thinking is going to be super painful. It may not actually even be that bad.
I was talking about, I did it one time. I was fully padded up. I had every pad on that I needed to. I didn't feel a thing. I could have done it again easily. And I enjoyed it. I was like, hey, can I do another one? Can you give me another, however much money for that? Because, every time you do it, they pay you for it. So I was like, can I do another one, please? That was fun, and I get more money. But no, it's, whatever. Yeah, it's a fun job. It's the conversations that get sparked between the people on set and friends when I get at a stunt audition. It's so funny where I just call up my friend. I was like, hey, can you hit me with your car real quick? I have this audition that I got to do. Or, hey, can I jump out of your car while you're driving? A stunt coordinator asked me for this. And it's like the weirdest stuff. But like, if you surround yourself with the right people and you're all doing the same thing, that's a quote unquote normal conversation. Hey, can you throw me down these stairs real quick? And I just think that's funny, because what other profession do you do that in? And anything even the most physically manual labor intensive job that I can think of, you're not doing something like that. And also that's the other thing. You're not doing the same thing. You're never doing the same thing. Even if you spend a week doing one specific stunt, it takes a ton of setup and a ton of prep, even though you may be doing the same thing technically every day, be the same, because things change all the time, and the directors may be like, actually, let's do this differently, or just the times that you're going to have on set. So that's what I live for with the movies. How there's no monotony with it, because growing up, I looked at my mom and a couple of people that had steady jobs that were doing the same thing over and over again, and they like it. It's stable, but I saw that, and I was like, I don't want to do that. That sounds boring. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in front of a computer or in a cubicle, writing and or doing accounting or whatnot. But and if that's what you want to do, by all means, do that. But it's not for me. And that was another reason why I opted intentionally not to go to college. I mean, as you heard me say at the beginning of the podcast, I discovered my dream when I was 6 years old, and I am very fortunate to have to be able to say that, because since that moment when I was 6 and I saw Jackie Chan, everything that I've done has been to get into where I am, to get into the stunts and acting in the film industry. And so if you have that clear goal, especially from a young age, the way that I had, everything went towards it. So I knew going into middle school that I wasn't going to do college. I was like, I don't need it personally. There's nothing that I can learn in college that's going to benefit me to do what I want to do. And if that's you, it's not wrong to not go to college. Go to college if you want to. If you want the experience, if you need it, by all means. But if you don't need it, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, chase that, because that's rare. I mean, it's very rare that you find somebody who has a dream and then they drop everything. It's all about that. And it's a beautiful thing, because you can make some really cool stuff, and tell a lot of cool stories.
Yeah. And you're right. Most people, well, I won't say most people, I'd say probably 3 out of 5 people will say, when you're young, or once you realize what you want to do, most people will look at it and go, well, that's too hard, or you got to do X, Y, and Z to achieve it. And it's like myself with the whole YouTube and podcast thing. I just being full disclosure, I've worked in automotive for 25 years, and this is something that I started 3 or 4 years ago, and I knew nothing about editing.
Exactly.
But I've taught myself how to do it.
The learning, what it took to learn that. So not only are you learning the actual, the skill of that, you watch YouTube videos on how to edit, and then you learn how to edit, but also you're learning to find those resources for yourself. You're learning to learn for yourself. I forget who it was, but I was hearing somebody talk about this with kids, and how to raise children. Let them make mistakes. Because if you let them make mistakes, if there's a glass on the counter and they knock it over and it crashes on the floor and there's glass everywhere, that's a learning experience. Now they know, oh, I probably shouldn't do that again. Don't inhibit learning. So learn in as many ways as you can, because even if what you're studying isn't going to help you, the path that you took to learn that will help you for sure with whatever else you do. And time is money, so use your time.
Exactly, and I'm a firm believer in not only the more you know, the better off you are, but if you teach yourself a new skill, whatever that is, it keeps your mind growing, it keeps it fresh, and it shows that no matter how old you are, not to date myself, but I'm, I was born in '83, so. So, I mean, it's one of those things where even, as you get older, you can still learn new things, no matter how small they are.
Yeah, you said it.
So, jumping into your acting side of your career, what was that like to go from, being the guy doing the stunts to being, a full-blown actor?
Well, I don't know if I can call myself a full-blown actor yet. I am definitely still in the learning stages. So what I know with stunts and how solid I feel with my foundation in stunts, I'd like to get to that point with acting. Full disclosure, I'm not there yet, but I hope to be someday. But one of the examples is my stunt reel. I made my stunt reel. I filmed it. I edited it. I put it all together, and I know how to do that. But an acting reel is quite different than a stunt reel. A stunt reel is fast-paced. It's clip, 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 one thing onto the next. With an acting reel, you have longer stretches of, a scene. You got to, convey emotion and whatnot, or humor, or whatever it is. And so just the editing alone is vastly different. So there's a lot that I still have to learn. But to answer your question a little bit, with stunts, when you're on set as a stuntie, as a stunt performer, and you're like the only stuntman, or there's a very small amount of stunt people, and everyone else is actors and line people and whatnot. They treat you, it's your presence is known. They're like, oh, stunts is here, we're doing something. With that being said, they don't get the greatest treatment. An actor will get a trailer to himself. Whereas you'll have one trailer for the whole stunt team, or maybe two trailers for the whole stunt team. So in that regard, actors definitely get pampered a little bit more. They get, their requests met more often and quicker than, stunt people. But there's reasons for that. It's, sometimes it's ego, and sometimes it's simply, I work best. I can deliver my best acting performance when I'm comfortable and my needs are met. Alternatively, if you need to portray that you're uncomfortable in a scene, and you start to go into method and different kinds of like acting techniques here. But if I need to be uncomfortable for a scene, I'll try to make myself uncomfortable in real life. Draw from real experiences. I did. February of last year, so it's almost been a year now. Wow. I was flown to Atlanta to work with Garrett Warren, who is the stunt coordinator for Avatar, Avatar 2, Avatar 3, Avatar 4, Transformers, all of the Transformers, many, many, many things. And he's a great at what he does, highly respected. But he flew me out to Atlanta. And actually, let me back up slightly. Before that, he held stunt auditions, more or less, because he needed a double for Chris Evans, Captain America. Now, Chris Evans has slimmed down quite a bit since his days doing Captain America. So when Garrett, let the stunt community know, hey, I'm looking for a double, it wasn't like, all right, let's find the beefiest, bulkiest dude, because Evans has, slimmed down a little bit since those days. So I had somewhat of an opportunity. I'm quite skinny myself, and I'm working on, getting a little bit more muscle mass. But I would say that there was a very real possibility for me to be Chris Evans' stunt double. They had, I think, nine to 10 people or so that we did a gunshot reaction where Garrett fired a fake gun. We did, a reaction, fell on the floor. Next person. You do that over and over. You make a line of them. And then from the people, he watched all of that. And then he took the people that he liked and he moved on to the next round where he did a shoulder throw, a hip toss, where he just kind of threw us over himself. And then we had to do it to him. And then based off of that performance, it was literally, I think, like 20 minutes for like 10 guys or so. Like he went through it really quick, but he knows what he's doing. He can see, he knows what he needs. And if you don't have what he needs, he's not going to waste time, trying to pull it out of you. You don't have it. All right, next guy. And that's the reality of it. It's very fast paced and, you can get a job in a minute and then lose it, 30 seconds later. And I have stories about that as well. But anyway, I digress. So I got flown to Atlanta to after auditioning to be his double. He didn't think I could be a good double for him, but he brought me on as a lab technician, just my own little background stunt thing. And we were it was like in this underground cave and, he's getting tortured and everything. It's going to be a fun scene. But, for that, they had me, get shot by, it was Ana de Armas. He shoots me in the shoulder and then I fall down. And then Adrian Brody comes in with like a thing of bullet ants. And he's pouring them on top of me and like these ants are crawling all over me. Now, obviously they didn't use real ants on the day. They had like some fake ones, but I have, I cast my memory back to a trip that I took with my family a couple of years ago where we went to Belize and, we went on this, jungle safari tour, or not safari, sorry, it was Belize, this jungle tour in this Jeep. And then the Jeep was parked underneath a tree. And so anything could get into it. Where I'm getting at is it was full of ants. We get into this Jeep and, they're driving us to, and this is all real, by the way. They're driving us and these ants are crawling all over me. And at this point I had like a huge, insect fear. So I was like, oh my God, and I'm freaking out and everything. So anyway, I tell you all of this because I used that experience to draw for this scene where they were once again, or where I was once again covered in ants and I was, getting eaten alive by the bullet ants and whatnot. So in that sense, I was able to draw from an experience that I had and use it on set. And that's how I work. Other people work in different ways when it comes to acting. And like I said, I have much to learn, but it's, with anything, I'm definitely not the master in stunts either. Nobody's done learning ever, but that's just, I hope that answers the question a little bit about like how acting is different than stunts a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where I would imagine it's, just being an outsider, for both careers, really, it's fun and difficult at the same time. Like, it's definitely, for one, it could be like a mental thing, having to remember lines if there are lines, and then the other, you touched on knowing if you're falling, how to fall, if you're going to get hit or get put on fire.
That's the other thing. When you're doing these stunts, going back into the stunt conversation a little bit, when you're doing the stunts and you're, let's say getting shot and then falling on the floor. If you get shot in a way that it were to end your life, you can't catch yourself with your hands as you're falling. You're lifeless. You just have to drop, and however you fall, you fall. Now, if you get shot and you don't, your life isn't extinguished right away on that gunshot, you can catch yourself and like crawl away or something. But if the stunt is for you, and it's called a dead fall, where you just fall, it's psychologically it's one of the hardest ones to do because. Actually, I have an example of this. It's in my stunt reel if you guys want to check this out. But one of the openers to my 2023 stunt reel is me running away and I get shot in the back and I fall on the floor without catching myself with my hands. And I very intentionally put one arm behind myself so that you can see in the video I'm not catching myself to sell that. That was one of the psychologically most difficult stunts because I'm running at more or less full speed and then I just have to go limp. And this, like, if you're running and just go limp, you're gonna get hurt. There's a safe way to do it, but even if you take all safety precautions and you do it as safely as possible, you're gonna get hurt in some way. A little scratch, or a rock, or you're gonna scratch yourself along the asphalt or whatever the surface is. But it's stunts like that where you just take it. But yeah.
So you touched on just coming off a project. Do you have any, not to give any spoilers or anything away, but do you have anything coming up that you'll be working on?
So I haven't signed any non-disclosure agreements, so I suppose I can talk about this. I just mentioned earlier in this podcast, I came back from a fitting. So tomorrow we're going to do a photo shoot for the rookie Feds. And then we're going to shoot on the 19th and the 23rd at Paramount. The gag is I get thrown off a roof. And they won't actually be throwing me off a roof. For this, they're going to get a practical dummy that looks like me, dress him up as me, and just chuck him off the roof. What I have to do, where my job comes into play, is I have to initiate it. So, like, I have to be the body, like, as it starts, and then cut there, and then they'll throw the real thing. But it has to be me, because you have to see the struggle and whatnot. And then they'll have the practical dummy fall, and then cut to me on the floor in this like contorted position, all dead, because I fall 8 stories. So that's the gag. And in that regard, it sounds crazy dropping 8 stories, but I'm not actually dropping 8 stories. We're just gonna Hollywood magic this. That's one. And then nothing's been confirmed, but I got a few things lined up after that. So it's this year and last year. Is definitely when my career has started to pick up more. As I mentioned, the first 2 years was all groundwork and no reward for my efforts. And I'm finally starting to see those rewards now. I'm getting hired by the same coordinators multiple times, which means they trust me. They're like, oh yeah, I've worked with them before, bring them back. And that's always great, because with stunts and acting, you don't know when your next job is going to be, unless you're a series regular on a show, but you got to get to that point first. So you don't know when the next time you're going to work. And that's why a lot of people get a backup job, and then they'll do the backup job too much and forget about their dream. And, that's why I was very careful to have my backup job and have it only support me and still focus as much as I can on my dream. Because I've heard this as well, when, for people who come to Los Angeles to pursue their dream of acting, and they obviously can't support themselves financially from just acting when you start out. Nobody can. Unless, you're Tom Holland and they discover you and, they give you a Spider-Man deal. But it wasn't given to him. He definitely worked for it. But, no, you don't know where your next job is going to come from. So a lot of people get a backup job, whatever, it may be simple, but then they get too comfortable with that income, and then they forget about their dream, and then they just end up doing this and kind of doing it on the side. You're not going to see results that way if you're not allocating. It gets controversial here, but like, I allocated more or less 100% of my effort into this. Do figure out your own percentages, like how much you want to focus on your dream and how much you want to focus on surviving and getting the money in. But the more you focus on your dream, the more likely it is to happen. If you're putting 60% of your effort into your day job and surviving and 40% into acting, what are your odds, as opposed to if you put all of it into acting and you just barely get by? It's very stressful. Don't get me wrong. It is very stressful to be living paycheck to paycheck and, just barely getting by, and you don't know when the next job is going to come. But speaking from experience, if you stick with it, you just have to believe, if you have what it takes and you believe that you have what it takes, you have to believe that you'll get there at some point. Just keep working. You will get there at some point. I've heard stories of actors, John Krasinski, who played Jim on The Office. Right before he booked The Office, he was about to quit acting and move back to New York. he was so close to calling it quits. He's like, I can't do this anymore. And then he decided, not decided. He had a chat with his mom, I think. But if you're interested, you can look it up yourself. But I hear stories like that all the time, where it's like, oh man, I'm at my wit's end. I got to call it, and then it happens. So you never know when it comes. Keep believing. At a certain point, cut your losses if it's you can't survive anymore. But don't lose sight of your dream.
That's it. And you're living proof that, one, if you follow your dream, hard work pays off, and persistence is key.
Consistency, persistence, longevity with your body, with stunts. You want to do a stunt that you can do repeatedly, as I mentioned, and you want to be able to work the next day for somebody else. You don't want to lay it all out there and break your leg and then be out for 4 months while you're recovering and you miss 3 jobs in that time or whatever. So, be smart with it.
That's right. Yes, sir. So I know I found you on Instagram. Where can people find you, and what is your handles where they can find you on social media?
So on Instagram, I have 2 accounts. I have my stunt account, Stoiber Stunts, Stoiber Stunts, and that is, as the name implies, my stunt account where I post primarily action-related things, stunt doubling, that kind of stuff. And then I have my actor account, Lukas Stoiber Official, LUKAS Official, and that's all actor stuff and general other stuff. I try to keep it separate, and I have my own reasons for that. Which if you are interested, reach out to me. I can answer some questions. But that's Instagram, Stoiber Stunts, and Lukas Stoiber Official. I have YouTube, just my name, Lukas Stoiber. I have my 3 reels on there, my stunt, fight, and fire reel. And then I have a couple of other videos that I've done with friends that are, very near to my heart because they're fun to do, always just messing around with friends and creating something cool. That's YouTube. I'm not on Twitter or Snapchat. There's a line. I mean, I use social media for my job. I'm not a social media heavy person. It's not about the followers or the likes for me. It's solely about connecting with people and working later on. So transparency, that's what it is for me. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Lukas Stoiber, that's honestly about it, I think. My website, stoiberstunts.com. Anything, all of my handles for all social media and everything else that you can find about me is on my website. So I have everything linked together and everything's updated. My resumes are all updated, sizes, headshots, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to be on top of it, trying to start the 2023 off right, The last week of last year, I was hustling, getting everything together, and before that too. But I was like, I need to start. I cannot be doing work to get ready in the new year. It's got to be ready to go when that clock strikes midnight, So if you live your life that way, you will see results. I guarantee it.
That's right. Well, listen, Lukas, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me. It's been a real pleasure, and I'd love to do it again.
So much. It has been. I as you can see, I love talking about this. I'm super passionate about it, and I have so much to talk about. If you're interested in some stories from set, I love talking about that stuff because that's what it's about for me. But yeah, reach out to me if you have questions. I'd be happy to answer. I hope I answered a lot of them in this podcast. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll do it again soon sometime.